Hello, welcome to Cultivating Pleasant Places. I have not recorded a video in a while and I'm sorry. That is because we are into our summer schedule. I really love summers and it got me thinking I should do a video about whether you should take a summer break or go year long, because that is a question I get all the time. So, there are, of course, pros and cons to both, and you have the flexibility to do it whatever way you want. But I kind of got thinking about seasons, and I promise I'll come back to the question. But I want to talk about how we really are created to be seasonal beings. And so, what does that look like, and how does that affect our schooling? And is it more than a question of, well, I had summer breaks growing up and I enjoyed them? Could I actually have a more developed rationale behind whether we take summer breaks or not? So, let's talk about seasons for just a minute, because this has really been on my heart. We grew up, a lot of our things that we do in our society are based on agriculture calendars. Even the summer break was originally a chance for kids to go help their families in the fields. And there is still something to that, even though I think most of us maybe aren't working on farms in the summer. I know it definitely plays into what we do in the summer, because I want to have a garden and that's what grows in the summer. So another thing though that impacts the calendar is holidays, and a lot of my friends have started following a liturgical calendar, either in their homeschooling, starting the morning off as part of their morning time, adding some liturgy in there, or just really wanting to do more for the Advent season. And again, that got me thinking, wow, that's really beautiful. What about the calendar impacts the way we do school? Because I think there is a season for everything under the sun. And even just the changing of the weather really affects me. I don't know about you, but in the spring, I am so excited for the new flowers coming up. And then we have summer, and the weather gets so hot, and just when I think I can't handle summer anymore, it cools off, and I'm one of those girls who loves to have pumpkin flavored everything and go to the pumpkin patch and sit outside and look at the leaves. And then it gets cold, and I love snow and Christmas, but when I think I can't handle the cold weather anymore, it switches again. And I thought, what a lovely gift for God to give us, to have this variety of seasons. Obviously, it's essential still for how food is grown. You need to have seasons, and that's a fun unit study to do with your kids or look into as part of a science curriculum. But also, there's just something really beautiful about it and how it changes and progresses over the year. The weather, I know that differs depending on what part of the world or country you're in. But again, how does that affect homeschooling? Well, I'm going to give you kind of the reasons we actually do take a summer break. So if that's for you, yay, and if not, yay. But I really like having summers to garden. We live in the Pacific Northwest, where the winters are long and cold, and so when we finally get some nice weather, I want my kids to be playing outside as much as they can. We go hiking, we go camping, and so for me, I like to have an easier schedule in the summer, take a few things off, and scheduled schooling is one of them. Now, honestly, I have the mindset that everything we do is schooling. So even in the summer when we're on quote unquote break, we're still doing school. That's where I see my kids out in the garden are getting nature study. They're learning how crops are grown. They're observing how water drains in the dirt. They're making dams. They're exploring and finding insects. So we really haven't stopped school, because I know a lot of people wonder, well, what about, don't kids lose all of the information they've learned by taking such a long break? And I've heard that argument for having year-long school. I don't find that's the case in homeschooling, because we're pretty much doing school all summer. It just looks really different and is going to be more hands-on and more outdoors. But having no math to do, those sit inside and work on subjects at the table, I take that all away so we can actually have a summer break and enjoy that part of the season and lean into that. Now, you can still have a seasonal mindset if you're doing year-round schooling. Some of the pros for doing that is that it just makes it less hurried for the rest of the year. So I have some friends that really enjoy taking a slower pace all year. So they only do 3 or 4 days of school, or they still do 5 days of school. But if they want to take a day off to go explore, go to a museum, take a field trip, or take advantage of going on vacation when places are less busy during the school year. I have some friends that also really want to spend more time, like I said, on an Advent or Christmas unit or an Easter unit, study each of the holidays as they come around. And so rather than taking a day here or a few days there, they really take a month off for Christmas, a month off for Easter, maybe a month off in the summer. So you have some flexibility to do that. And that's where it's great that it doesn't have to look like a traditional school, 9 months in the classroom and 3 months out. Although I feel like even more and more schools are going 10 and 2, so they're also changing up the calendars. But I just wanted to kind of let you think about that. I guess I do react a little bit to this idea. I think sometimes we view school as we get kind of this factory mindset, kids on a conveyor belt, they can just go, 5 days school, 2 days off. And we do it without thinking. I'm all for the discipline of it, but like I said, if we view ourselves and our children more as growing beings in a world that was created to be seasonal, it makes more sense to me that those seasons would look different. So however that works for your family, my Christmas season looks very different than my fall season, than my summer season schooling. And so I just let the schedule reflect that. So for yourself, think about, do you do more during the summer? If you're a family that really gardens or farms, I mean, that could go into the fall or maybe be heavier on the spring side, but maybe you could work your schedule so that that fits in without being so stressful during those busy times. Maybe you're just metaphorically in a season of sickness or a new baby or moving. So let the calendar work around those and don't see it as an impediment. Oh no, we couldn't get anything done for these 3 months because this big life event happened, right? See it as, of course, life happens. Seasons look different. Our child is having a really hard time sleeping during this season, so we're more tired. And give your calendar the flexibility to work with that. Again, what I like about having summers off is sometimes we just did not have time during the school year to get to a foreign language or a unit on jobs or something I wanted to fit in. And so that's where I know I have this space. It's not the end of the world. I have summer and I will intentionally fit it in there. So I hope that helps. I hope you're encouraged, and please spend some time just thinking and praying about, how am I a seasonal being? How could our home reflect the seasonal nature of our world?